Okay, let's continue with helping you to achieve the freestanding handstand like this. Now, this is most people's goal, is to be able to hold here with control. Now, last video, we addressed how to do the kick up. So if you can't kick up to the wall yet and you look like this, you need to watch the last video because I go through that in detail and show you the stepping stones to get us to the point where we can kick up with control to the wall. And you'll find that kick up video down in the description. But let's continue. We've got to the point where we can comfortably kick to the wall. So we're in this position, our shoulders are directly on top of our hands, our focal point is looking down somewhere between our index fingers, and that's locked into position. We've kicked up, touched the wall if we need to. We might take a couple of goes, but we're getting all the way up to the wall. Now when we get to the wall, we want to maintain those shoulder position and that focal position. We don't want to be doing this at the top, we don't want to be doing this, and we want to make sure that we can now kick up for repetitions, and every one of them is going to look the same. So a good goal here is 5 to 10 repetitions, starting in this position, kicking up to the wall, whatever that looks like, whether that is 1, 2 like so, or if you're a little bit more controlled, both feet at the same time. But every time I'm doing the kick up, notice that the start position is exactly the same on the first rep and on the second rep and so forth. Now that's going to take a little bit of practice, a little bit of consistency of training to build that up till we can consistently do that on every rep. But what we want to make sure that we can do is that we're hitting more successful reps than failed reps. So what do I mean by that? This would be a successful rep. This would be a failed rep. So if you're trying to catch freestanding and you're failing everyone, just rely on the wall a little bit more for now. We want to make sure that we're getting up for consistency, and then we'll slowly layer on improvements and refinements to that kick up. But having a consistent kick up to the wall was really important. And then once we've got that kick up, we need to think about two things. We need to think about our conditioning of the position. So how long can we hold here? So most people's goal here will be like 10 seconds to start with, but once they get that, they're really going to want a 60 seconds. So having the ability to hold for that time in a straight line or a straight-ish line, a one segment position, is very important. And the way we can learn that and slowly build that conditioning is doing that chest to wall. Now the reason we do that chest to wall and not back to wall is it's going to help us create a dish-like position, not an arch position. So if I go chest to wall like this and I can hold this position, it's much easier to control this. As soon as I start to sag into the position, I can realize that is happening. And in fact, it's actually going to stop me from holding here because it's going to collapse even more, dump into my low back, and I'm just going to fold in a horrible way. So that keeps us in check. And you can easily video from the side and hold that position. Now, if we compare that to what it would look like if I do a conditioning hold back to wall, so like this, already I'm in an arch position, and this is way easier to maintain an arch, which is going to teach us a bad habit. So we want to be more in a dish and less of an arch. So the chest to wall is seen as a better option for that. Now you might not be able to get all the way into the wall yet, and that's fine. All you do is just have your hands a bit further away, step into that position and hold here, making sure that you've got an easy exit strategy. And I'll just make sure that you can hold for 20, 30 seconds consistently, then you can make it a little bit harder with the goal eventually get that up to 60 seconds, be able to hold with control, enter and exit the position. And for most people, that'll be enough to tick off the conditioning side. You can add in floor drills in this position, low back pushed in like a hollow body hold. You could bend the legs, put the heels to the floor, put the head on the floor, and push the low back into the floor and just practice holding this position. But ideally, we want to get up on the wall and make sure that we're conditioning the strength in the shoulders and the arms as well, and make it as handstand-like as we can. The more we can do that with all the handstands and calisthenics skills, the better. Doing the real thing is always going to be better as long as we can do reps and sets of it. And then the other thing we need to start thinking about is learning to balance the handstand. Now, the simplest way to start to balance the handstand is we need to get the base, the hands, the shoulders, the focal point doing the work, and the hips and the legs coming along for the ride. What we don't want to happen is the hips and legs to take over, because that's like your shoulders and your head trying to control you when you stand up. And once we've got that consistent kick up and we're into this position, that's where we can start to learn to do this. Now, what am I doing there to create that movement? I'm creating one body line from the hands to the feet, or one connected position, one segment, that when I push through the fingers and reach tall, I pull from the wall. I'm not kicking or stepping off the wall. The best way to feel that is by turning the hat around, placing the head on the wall, put your arms behind your back, turn your abs and your glutes on a little bit, push through your toes, make your head come off the wall. Now slowly go back to the wall. So you can feel what's making the movement happen. So then when I do it in the handstand, I kick up, practicing that good technique. I squeeze everything together, I reach tall, and I push through the fingers until my heels just come off, and I relax and go back again. So this is going to be the so this is going to be your main balance drill to start with, to start to understand how the base controls our handstand and the need for our body to be as one segment like so. And I would just be practicing that initially for repetitions and looking for cheats or bad habits. Now the cheats or bad habits look like this. So I'm in this position and now I kick off the wall, or I do this. So now I'm flicking off the wall, which will normally end up in me going down that way. So as best you can, you've got to try and keep the body as one, get the base to do the work, so pushing through the fingers and reach up nice and tall. You might need to fine tune your distance your hands are away from the wall. So the further your hands are away, the harder it's going to be to pull off the wall. The closer you are, the easier it's going to be to pull off the wall, but you'll quite often go too far and fall down. So roughly one hand space away is a good place to be. Now, if you are struggling with pulling off the wall, a cool thing you can do is to cross the legs. Now, when I cross the legs and squeeze them together, that helps the body to become one. And I've also got this foot a little bit further away from the wall now. So when I push and reach tall, I come off the wall much easier. My body acts as this one piece for longer, and it's a bit easier to get that connection. And then once we're able to pull from the wall, we can start thinking about repetitions and sets. First of all, we want to be linking 1 rep to 2 reps to 3 reps, up to 4 or 5 reps with control. And if you can do that, I'll do that for around 2 to 3 sets every time you practice handstands. Combine that with a 60-second conditioning hold, maybe 2 sets. You obviously might need to build up to that, but that's a good target to start with. And you're probably going to have to also keep working those kick-ups. And then once we can pull away from the wall for repetition, so once we can do this, so pull away, come back to the wall, pull away, come back to the wall, I can start trying to hold for a little bit of time. 1, 2, go back to the wall. 1, 2, 3, go back to the wall. So I'm starting to build some control in the balance. Now, and the cool way of thinking about it is if your handstand is straight up, we're pulling from the wall, we don't actually want to go to handstand. Because what's going to happen when we go to handstand is we're probably going to overdo it, and then we're going to fall this way. And that's the next part that we need to learn, the underbalance control. But we're not learning that yet. We first want to learn this one. So all we're going to do now is instead of going to there, to the handstand, I'm only going to go to halfway or 3/4 of the way to it and back again. So I'm just doing this on and off the wall. I'm not going all the way to handstand. So it looks a bit like this. I exaggerate it by being a little bit further away from the wall. So just pull off a bit and go back. Just pull off a bit, hold, 1, 2, and go back. I'm not coming to this because the risk is there that I just fall down constantly. I get frustrated, and it's not good work in repetitions that's going to teach me how to balance the handstand. I want to show control and go back. So combine the work in that first video to really condition and build a controlled kick up with this back to wall balancing exercise, and you're going to be well on your way to learning the freestanding handstand. Let me know down below if you have any questions on this one. If you'd like more help with your training, check out my website. I have my app and my online coaching. And I'll speak to you guys in the next one.